People showing up. Can you guys tell I'm not in my normal office? All right. Oh, sorry. I guess maybe I should turn my volume up. What'd you say, Shay?
I said it's so pink around you.
I know, because I just finished Taco Tuesdays with Nellie, and now I'm in her office. She's like, just go live in my office. And I'm like, okay, you got it.
I love it.
I'm going to get us live on Facebook, and then we are going to get started. So I hope you guys are ready with lots of questions. So that, all right, it's preparing. Oh, it's slow. All right. All right. We are ready to go live. I'm so glad so many of you guys showed up to ask me questions, and we're going to be letting more people in throughout the whole day. So if you guys are just tuning in, welcome to the Visibility Queen Show. I am Chrissy Connor, and I am excited to answer all of your questions today that you are bringing to me. And I will answer questions until there's no more questions, or until 1:45, whichever comes first. So who wants to go first to ask me anything when it comes to marketing or visibility or diversifying your marketing? Come on, don't be shy.
I have a question, and I'm sorry if you hear my cat in the background. Actually, I have multiple, but I'll start with one.
Okay.
You mentioned that your most recent launch for Visible, you discovered that you have a lot of lurkers, and you make content for the lurkers and the people who engage. How did you have any indication leading up to it that you had any lurkers, and who those people were, to know if your content strategy is working for attracting and keeping people who maybe don't engage with your content?
So yes and no. Obviously lurkers are, and I say this lovingly because to anyone listening, I was a lurker. And I would still be a lurker if I didn't do what I do. I know by not being a lurker, I actually help your business grow. So, but preferably I would prefer to be a lurker and just like read all the content, consume it, and then keep going on, right? Because that's just an introvert nature. I don't want to call attention to myself. So that is really hard for me. So honestly, a lot of people reached out to me that I have never spoken to before. Some were on my email list. Some messaged me, some just went straight to the sign up. So it's really hard to say, to be honest with you, Shay. I just know that being so visible, diversifying myself across multiple platforms helped with this launch so much, even when my ad account got shut down. Because when my ad account got shut down, I actually lowered my goal. I lowered it by 5 people, and I exceeded it by like 1 person, my original goal. So I actually ended up doing fine without my ad account. So I hope that answers your question, but I think the thing that I want anybody to know is to keep working and to keep moving forward, even if you feel like it's not working, because I promise you it is. There are people always watching. They're always watching. And I think eventually you do get, what I like to call instant gratification, right? Because we love instant gratification. And so eventually people will start commenting and people will start reaching out to you. It's just, there's no way, especially when I have 5,000 friends. I have 6,000 people on my Facebook page. Now, I have all these people, 5,000 on my email list. There's no way I can talk to every one of them individually I can try, but it's, it's a combination of them reaching out to me and me reaching out to them. And so I think the thing is I have to say is just be consistent across the board and know that it's going to happen. Don't stop. I mean, I've been doing this total like for 5 years, but I didn't really get consistent with anything until 2.5 years ago. Like 2.5 years ago, I was not, my content, my email list, my visibility was not a priority to me. It was all about my clients. And until I put myself first, that's when it really started happening. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sorry, it wasn't coming unmuted. Thank you.
Okay. Who else has questions?
I actually have a question, Chrissy.
Yeah.
It's Wendy.
Hello.
Hi. So, as you know, I have taken about a month and a half, 2 months off.
Mhm.
What is your biggest tip for making a splash on my comeback?
Your biggest tip for having a splash on your comeback would be to announce that thing that I told you to do on our strategy call. I don't want to give it away, but you know what you and I talked about. Yeah. I would totally move forward with that, but I would just start showing up. If it's up to you whether you want to tell why you took time away, you can just move forward and say, did you miss me? You don't have to really go into explanation. That's totally your call on how you feel about doing that. But I think the thing you and I talked about would be the perfect thing.
Okay.
Come back big with, and just announce it. And then it's like, that's why I've been gone, because I've been working on this big thing and I cannot wait to share it with you.
Okay. Yep. Perfect.
You can even start teasing it before you make the big announcement. Like, I've been working on something for weeks for you and I cannot wait to share it with you, and just like get that FOMO going, and what we like to call an open loop, which means you give enough to make them want more. And like, or they're like, somebody ever said, oh my God, I have something to tell you. I can't wait to see you. And they won't tell you like right now. And you're like, seriously, are you going to do this to me? Like, all I'm going to do is sit here and think about, what are you trying to tell me? What are you going to tell me? And so, so I love doing that open loop and just getting them interested, because they want to come back to find out what it is.
Okay. I will be working on that.
I love it. All right. Who's next? And if you guys have repeat questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to check the Facebook page and see if there's any questions there. Unmute yourself and ask, or you guys can ask in the chat if you don't want to ask out loud. Drop it in the chat and I'll answer it too. You guys are quiet.
I don't want to take up all the space, but I'll ask my next one.
Okay, well, yeah, ask your next one. And hello, I think you know what the response is to not taking it. We don't take up enough space, so take up space, girl.
I know. So my next question, I guess, would be on content variation across platforms. So as we know from following you, following Gary Vee, people like that, you shouldn't be posting the same thing at the same time everywhere. When you are moving from a goal to just get consistent, and therefore you do post the same thing at the same time everywhere, to varying across platforms, how would you recommend best using your metrics to know what works and what doesn't? And what happens if you have a place that nothing appears to be working, but you're not sure where to go about creating new content? So I guess that's 2 questions.
So here's the thing. I have posted on Instagram consistently for 2.5 years, and I hated Instagram. In May, I paid my friend, who is an Instagram strategist, to basically go through my Instagram and tell me all what was wrong with it, which for the most part wasn't a whole lot wrong with it. It was just, I wasn't spending enough time on there. I was posting on there, but I wasn't spending enough time engaging on there. And so once I figured that out and I started spending more time on Instagram, lo and behold, I start getting clients from Instagram when I said my clients weren't on Instagram. So yes, it is about posting. It is about being consistent, but it's also about engaging with your audience. And the same thing with TikTok. I was like, oh, nothing's working on TikTok. As soon as I start engaging with other people, boom, my TikTok takes off. Like, so I think it's yes, we need to be consistent with posting, but we also need to be consistent with engaging. And don't get me wrong, it is not easy to engage with people across every single platform that I'm on. It's not easy. I also have assistants that help me with that, but we get to be intentional about posting and about engaging both. We can't just posting and not doing anything else as a hope strategy. Posting static content all the time, which means just like a regular, picture or a graphic, and not going live or not putting out video, or on Instagram, not utilizing reels because that's like the hottest thing right now. That is just a strategy. Like, you're waiting on your content to do all the work for you, and that's never going to be the case. Does that answer?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's enough to engage as, for myself being a single owner LLC, it's easy enough to engage as myself or my business, and they're pretty well connected. But for, say, my job, where I'm also managing the social media for Platinum, it's easy enough to engage on Instagram as Platinum. But how do we best engage on a platform like Facebook when, is it just connecting ourselves? Or, because I know you can't always change to interacting as your business page.
So for the longest time, and I have not done this in a really long time, and I'll be on the first to say it, but every day I used to go to my business feed, my business's page feed, and interact as my business to other businesses. And so it's easy for you because you're a B2B, so you actually can do that. So it's just following those pages, the people that you want to work with. So if you have like your Dream 20 or your Dream 100, follow those pages and interact and engage with them, so that number one, they know who you are. And number two, they see your name pop up a lot, that you're basically very interested in that person. I'll never forget this story of Russell Brunson. He went after Tony Robbins. There's like a whole YouTube video about this. And he courted basically Tony Robbins, and he followed him and he commented on his content, knowing that Tony is not the person, putting out his content, but he did everything to be more interested in Tony than he was trying to be interesting to Tony. And so I will never forget that. And I think sometimes we think, oh, this person's too big, they're never going to pay attention to what I'm doing, or this business is too big, but keep doing it. And I promise you, if they're a right fit for you, that they will be paying attention. So if you're a B2B business, absolutely comment as your business page, and you can go to your business page's newsfeed, which is totally different than your personal newsfeed. And you can comment as your business constantly, and you don't have to switch at all from business. It's just a whole newsfeed just for your business.
Okay, I've seen it before. I've just never utilized it. Should I then be doing both for my business, commenting, since I'm both B2B and B2C in my business?
Yeah, you can definitely do it from your business too. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we have Veronica on here. We have Sarah. We have Candace. Who else has questions? You guys are so quiet. Nothing?
Okay, I'm coming back then.
Okay.
I know you've done trainings on this. What is your biggest tip for Reels compared to TikTok?
To be honest with you, I create TikToks and repurpose them as Reels, but I did do a training to teach you how. But make sure when you're doing a Reel, number one, you can do as many Reels as you want. I will tell you only post 3 to 4 times a week on your Instagram feed as a static post. But you can do as many Reels as you want, and make sure you're maximizing the hashtags on Reels, because that's another way that you can get found. So again, I don't create one piece of content for any platform. I refuse. So I create all my Reels on TikTok, then repurpose them on Reels, and maximize that content. So, but I would definitely, you have much more room in your Instagram description to add more information than you do in TikTok. And so I maximize that, and then also maximize your hashtag research. If you are confused or you don't know what hashtags to use, there's a tool called Flick, F-L-I-C-K. I don't think it's an app, it's a desktop link or whatever program. I want to say it's like $10 or $15 a month, but you could actually, buy it for a month and set up all your hashtags that you want to use. Don't use the same hashtags on every reel, because obviously every reel is going to be a little bit different and, have a little bit different subject line. So utilize the hashtags and post as many as you want, and always post it to your newsfeed too. Make sure how it'll let you preview it on your personal grid. Make sure you're taking advantage of that.
Now, are reels as effective if you don't have them on your grid? So for my photography business, I've been told I need to curate my grid better for clients, which does not include having reels. It includes creating a look and a feel with the photos. So
I would post it. You can always remove it from your grid. I would post it while it's there. It's just additional content that they're going to be able to see. And then if you don't like the aesthetic, you can always take it off.
Okay. Because that's what I was doing, is post it for 2 or 3 days and then archive it. Well, not archive it, but remove it from my grid.
Yeah, that's what I would continue to do that.
Okay.
All right. I think Candace unmuted a minute ago. Do you have a question, Candace?
I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm at such the beginning in comparison to everyone else who's been asking questions. But I just am trying to get a feel for where I should start with becoming visible on social media. In my personal life, I don't really use social media. I kind of steered away from it a long time ago.
Right.
And now that I want to expand my business, I'm trying to get a feel of where I should begin and how I should make sure that it's aligned with the brand that I have.
Okay, so the first place I would start is your personal page. Now, I know that's kind of scary for some people, especially it was for me, because I was so worried about what my friends would think about me. But really just letting your audience know, not necessarily even just, I'm not saying like go push live and go like scream to the rooftops, which, I mean, if you want to do that,
No.
girl, I will be here to support you, because I would love that. But I know that's not in a lot of people's comfort levels. But I would definitely create a post that has your picture and talk about what you do, who you serve, and how you can support them. And that's the first thing, is letting your friends and your family and the people you're connected to on your personal page know what you do, because that's like one of my biggest source of referrals. Even though I do have friends that make fun of me, they still refer people to me because I'm so visible. So they do refer people to me, which is fine, because they're not my client. They'll never be my client because they don't own businesses, but they still know what I do. And so they can refer people to me. So I think that's important. So that's where I would start. And then I would start in stories as well, because if stories was around in 2016 when I was petrified to go live, I totally would have taken advantage of that, because stories is a 15-second video clip, maybe 20 seconds on Facebook, and it disappears in 24 hours. So it's like, okay, I should totally be taking advantage of this. It'll get you used to video and let your audience see who you are. And a lot of people just spend time in the stories side of things too, and they don't spend much time on the news feeds.
Okay, so it's not necessarily promoting a product, you're just bringing brand awareness when you're starting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You want to, anytime you're posting content, are you in my group, Candace?
Yes, I just became a member.
Okay, good. So I will always tell you it's an 80-20 rule. We only want to be selling 20% of the time and giving a ton of value and educating 80% of the time. I actually personally am a 90-10 girl, and I like giving all the value away 90% of the time and only selling 10% of the time. But I also go in phases of selling. So like, I'm not selling anything right now. There's nothing I have to sell. So I won't sell for like 2 months. I will just be giving a ton of value. And then I'll go really hard, like a week, doing a lot of value with sells and asks at the end. So you can also get used to having call to actions with your audience. So let's say you're starting on your personal page and you're like, I'd love for you to join my community, like sign up here, or, go here, or I'd love for you to follow me on my business page, or I'd love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or I have this great download that's going to help you XYZ your life, right? So those are like free asks that we can do to get and move, number one, what we call cross-pollinating, which is mean moving a follower from one place to another, but we can also add them to our email list if we have what we call a lead magnet.
Okay.
Was that Greek, or was that way over your head and I went too much? I went too deep.
It might have been a little bit of both, but it definitely gave me a starting point of where I should start, just because I just felt overwhelmed. I didn't know if I should start with, I have my accounts with all the social media platforms, but they're just there.
Okay.
So I haven't done anything with them. So I think it was helpful to see that I should start with my personal page.
Okay, awesome. When you're done off of this, will you message me personally and let me send you in the right direction of trainings to watch in the free group and stuff like that, so that I can support and serve you and lead you in the right direction and not overwhelm you?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Who else has questions? Come on, you guys got me. Ask away.
Can we talk preparing for a launch?
We can talk about that.
So as you know from my own personal conversations with you, I've done launches for 2 companies and they've all basically flopped because they either haven't been long enough or with enough value. So I'm preparing for my next launch in March and I'm not sure where to go because what I see is that nothing's worked, if that makes sense.
Okay, so number one, I launched for 30 days for Visible, but I will honestly tell you, my launch started 2 years ago. I didn't know it, but it did. It's all about that visibility, that relationship building. All of that builds up. It's like a compound effect, right? So yes, I might be in launch mode only 30 days, but everything, I know that I have to prepare for my next launch, right? And it's going to be 2 to 3 months away. But I know I'm preparing now for that next thing. I'm seeding, I'm building relationships, I'm planting seeds, right? So that I can reap the harvest. So it's truly about doing all those things consistently that we know we need to do. Being visible, building relationships are the 2 major things that you need to be doing to get ready for a launch, right? Building your list, emailing your list consistently, all of those things are important. So I think it's just understanding that no matter what our launch is, how many days it is, how many weeks it is, whatever, that we're always preparing to go into launch mode. We're doing all of that planting seeds for when the harvest, right, comes so that we can reap the harvest. So that's the number one thing that I would say to get ready for a launch. Everybody's launch strategy is a little bit different. I have found that webinars work really well for me. Emailing my list to the point that I drive them crazy. And if some people unsubscribe, which I just have to realize they're not my people, it sucks, but I didn't have my ads account. I didn't have any other choice but to email my list. The thing that also I learned from not having my ads account, which I'm curious, I wish I could have a parallel universe where Chrissy with her ad account and Chrissy without her ad account on launch week, what would they have done differently? Because I think without my ad account, I worked my butt off a lot more because I knew everything was on the line and I didn't have my ads to help me. So I think that somehow I actually worked harder without my ad account. But again, I would love to see a parallel universe where I can see you do the same thing and see if that's really true. But yeah, so webinars really work. Getting Q&As really worked for me. Getting people on 15-minute phone calls really worked for me. Having spur of the moment trainings and just getting in front of people as much as possible, as much as you possibly can to give them a preview of what you're about to give them really, really helps. And it just helps nurture that relationship a little bit more and really helps, you've got to build that know, and trust however it takes, how much ever time it takes. And so some people are a lot faster. I had somebody who saw me on TikTok or saw Rachel say something about me on TikTok, checked out my profile, went to Instagram, looked through all my Instagram content, realized I was a person for her, filled out the Visible application, and boom, within hours, Like you don't normally warm somebody up that fast, but my content was there to do that. The same thing with my list. I was emailing my list so much. It's just like, what's going to grab their attention? Yes, I know I'm getting on your nerves. I know I'm driving my list crazy and I lost a ton of subscribers, but was it worth it in the end? Absolutely. Would I do it the same way again? Absolutely. Don't know if I would have done it the same way without my ad account, but I think there's a reason for that. And I need to remember that next time.
No, what if you don't have a list, don't have a website or a landing page, and you're like, say, 2 or 3 months out, which it sounds like I'm definitely not the only person in that kind of a situation where you're right now only social selling.
Well, first of all, you don't have to have an email list. I mean, yes, I think it's a very important asset to grow. And I would encourage everyone to start one, even if it only has 100 people in it, because if it has 100 of the right people in it, that means that you can convert the right people, right? I don't think that you have to have a landing page. I don't think you have to have a website. It makes things a lot easier, especially those people who are never going to message you and ask you questions. Have you ever like given up on buying something because it took too many steps, or you couldn't figure out a website, or there's an error and you're like, yeah, I'm just done. I'm not even fooling with this. Like, people want simple and easy, but you can also create something you can create a landing page on Flowdesk or MailChimp or whatever, like for super cheap. So it doesn't always have to be that we're spending all this money to get a landing page and a website. I mean, yes, is it ideal? Yes. Does it help? Yes, it does. But you can also sell through an email that you send to somebody from your Gmail account, not your MailChimp. You can create a pretty link when you hyperlink the, like if you say sign up here and you highlight that in Gmail, and you put the link in so they don't see the ugly link that goes to PayPal, you can actually sell like that too. You can take money and payments from Facebook Messenger now. So there's so many ways to get around that. Again, does it help? Yes. But could you set everything up on a Google form if you needed to? That's free. You absolutely could. Did I answer your question?
That's it. Yes. So it sounds like it's you probably have a harder road ahead if you're only social selling right now.
No, I mean, I don't want to say a harder road, but I mean, I still think it's all about relationships. I mean, I could have done Visible without a website, without a landing page, but again, I'd had been talking to a lot more people, and that was a lot of information, whereas they can go preview it on the landing page, right? And like really see the Q&A and all of that stuff to answer their questions versus just, getting the information from me and going through all my Facebook posts and all my Instagram posts to see what I'm talking about and watching all my Facebook lives. So it's just nice to have that one place, especially if it's a lot of information or I'm asking them to sign a big commitment. It's nice to have all that in one place.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else has questions? Don't be shy. You guys can drop them in the chat too. If you don't want to mute yourself, just drop it in the chat and I'll answer. You guys are so quiet.
Okay, I have a question.
All right, let's go, Veronica.
So I don't have a business page. I have a VIP page for my nail business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't post a ton of things on my personal page because I don't want to spam people, because I don't like being spammed. So, but I also don't necessarily know how to, I guess, advertise my VIP page without spamming my personal page. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So your VIP page is your nails, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's nails, right?
Yes.
Okay, what else do you do in there? Is it just nails, or is there any value? Or are you teaching them anything? Are you having fun? Are you engaging?
Yeah, no, we have fun. I, do interactive engagement posts. It's not just nails because that would be boring. So
Okay.
it's kind of a mix of things.
Okay. So let's say that you are, okay, I'm just making this up, right? Because I'm not in your group, or at least I don't think I am. I'm in a lot of groups that I'm in. But anyhow, let's say you have somebody coming on into your group to help make quicker meals, right? Okay, I'm just throwing this out there. And so what I would totally do is like, hey, we have a guest coming on tonight who's going to teach you how to meal prep like a boss or whatever. And I'd love to invite you in to check it out. So I would have like special guests that are going to teach them something or teach on a certain subject that's in your ideal customers, like what they would be interested in. And that way you can get people in for other things. And then they can also learn about the nails. If they choose it's not for them and they decide to leave, that's on them, right? We're not for everybody, and that's okay. Everybody is not our person, and that is also okay. It's very hard to get to deal with that, but it's actually will do you a favor in the long run. But I would do something like that. So you're not always saying join to talk about nails or join to see what the new products are, or join to do this. Like I would find fun ways to give value. And then the nails are just like an added bonus or extra fun. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that way you're not saying join my VIP nail group, join my VIP nail group.
Yes, I don't do that because it's
I know.
gross.
I know. But what I'm saying is like, you can even say like, okay, let's say that you, okay, I'm going back to the cooking thing because that's all I can think of. Clearly, I like to eat. So this is why we're going here. I'm not a meal prepper, but I do like to eat. So let's say you could do even an engagement post saying, who wishes they knew how to meal prep and save themselves time during the week? Like you could totally put an engagement post up like that or put a poll in stories. And when people said yes, then, you're like, I'd love to invite you. Like you can invite them personally in Messenger, or you can invite them from the post and say, oh my gosh, I have the best thing for you. You have to go check this out. We're doing this tomorrow night at 8 p.m. and you should watch because I think it's going to give you so much value or something like that. So we totally find just different subjects that your ideal person is interested in. So that again, it's not all about selling and they don't think I'm going to this group for you to sell to me like 24/7.
Right. Okay.
And we'll talk more. We're going to talk more about this on Wednesday's call because Veronica's in Visible. So we're going to talk more about that. But yeah, that's where I would start.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Great question.
And I'll say, Veronica, because I do photography, I do a lot of posts sometimes that have my photos in it and just talk about the person in them or talk about an event or talk about something completely unrelated to me wanting to take your photo.
Right.
And I'll just tag my business page as photo credits. And I've picked up lurkers who didn't even like the original post. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, these like 3 people have liked your page. And I'm like, and I didn't ask anybody to, nothing. I just made it available.
Right. Awesome.
Shay, can we go back to that? Didn't you ask me about lurkers and if they don't show up and now you just proved that you have lurkers?
That's why
Call yourself out, girl.
that's why I asked you, because I think I've started to gain lurkers and I don't know how to identify if I'm correct.
Yeah. It's all right. They're all out there. And even if whether we want to call them a lurker or something, like people are like, oh, nobody interacts with my Facebook post. Nobody does this. People are always watching. People comment to me all the time. You know that video you did? And I'm like, I don't think anybody even liked that video. But they watched it. That's why, like, if you go into your analytics, if you're on a Facebook business page, right? And you go to your analytics and it says like 10 people engaged with this post, but there's no engagement, like there's no comments, there's no likes. What are you talking about? You stop their scroll. They digested enough of that information for Facebook to consider that as they were engaging with your content. So don't forget that either, because sometimes we don't specifically ask a question or we don't get people, motivated to comment on our stuff. And sometimes it's our fault. So always check your analytics. And if it's like, it was a dud, then it was a dud. Maybe it was the content, maybe it was the time you posted, you know, that's something you get to figure out and test more of, but always look at your analytics too, especially
Knock
if you're
on
on
the
Facebook.
door. Ooh.
I was in art class.
All right. Next question. We have Mariella, we have Steph Davis. You guys haven't asked questions, so feel free to ask, or you can drop them in the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself. We have 10 more minutes, so take advantage and ask me all the things. And I'm giving Nelly lots of free advertising on my show. We got the Sales Queen logo behind me. No
I
question.
don't have a specific question, but I wanted to say the information about the nail group was really relevant to me because I have a VIP group for my workout clothes. So that would have been my question.
Yeah. And I think it's just, you know, a lot of times we say like every woman, right, needs workout clothes, or every woman needs nail strips. And that's not true. Number one, some people could care less. My nails actually aren't painted today, but normally they are. I'm giving them a break. But you know, that's not true. And when we market to everybody, we're truly marketing to nobody. So it's at least identifying who that person is and knowing that we're going after this specific person, right? With these pain points, or they have kids and they're married, or they have fur babies, you know, whatever it is that we're going after them for, or we're targeting, and remembering that that's not the only people we're going to attract. Remember, Nike attracts their marketing to people who are athletic. I love Nikes, not athletic. The only thing in Nike's marketing that they do go after people that want to win. I do want to win, but not like a race. I don't want to win a race. I don't want to win like football. I don't care about any of that stuff, but I do love their product. Converse is going after people who are very into fashion and care about what they look like and all this stuff. I'm not really into fashion. Like I want Nelly to dress me because it's just not my thing, but I still like Converse. So just remember, just because somebody is marketing or you're marketing to a certain person, it doesn't mean no one else is going to be attracted to you or what you're doing. But when we are so confident in that person and we know exactly who it is, our audience sees that confidence and they're like, oh my God, I want more of that. Like, I want to be like that. I want to learn more about that. I want to do that. And so don't think that you're going to alienate people. And sometimes you might, and that's okay. They're not your people, but you're going to attract more people than you like. I'm about to say like the wrong grammatical word, but you're going to attract more people than you don't attract. I was going to say disattract or something, but I'm pretty sure it's not a word. Any more questions? You guys have made me think today. If we're done, we're done. All right. Well, Shay, did you have another question? You unmuted.
No, I was just going to say I'm good and thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining and asking all of your questions. If you have questions and you weren't quite ready to ask on a Facebook Live, because we are on live, message me and I will send you in the right direction to answer your question, or I'll answer it if I can and give you support that way. So thank you all for showing up today. Thank you so much for all the amazing questions. And I am always here to help serve and support you, to help you get more visible, diversify your marketing, and grow the business of your dreams. So have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon.